back again. And what I did not mention in my last video is the fact that this is a mathematical model that matches a planetary or universal model. So you can think of this, the economy has a universe of cycles, and the planets have some sort of pool within this cycle. Does that make sense? Now we're going to talk about the opposition or opposing. So if you're dealing with, should I say astrology here? Should I say astrology? Probably not. I don't know. When you're dealing with the opposite polarity of something, like this is its own cycle. And I told you from an anthropological state that I always look at women and children and resources, which is real estate, to determine the real economy, like who holds the money, who's using the labor, who's actually creating legacies, and blah, blah, blah. Because that's all you need, those three to tell you everything. Land, women, and kids, okay? That'll tell you everything about everything. Whenever they're dealing with these models, you have to understand whenever these models go along with what we call the natural human evolution, the natural evolution of humans, and also just how the cycles of the earth run. Okay, and how does this come? I don't even know if I spelled that right. How does this come about? This comes about through, is it to do? No, farming. That's misspelled. Farming, okay? Farming is a perfect example. Also, equilibrium of replenishing things that are being bought and sold, okay? And this particular cycle is pure synthetic because it has its own cycle. I don't know if I kept it in the last video or mentioned it. I don't think I did. I was like, it's almost better if you have if you're going to do a fake model of a particular power universe of this economy, to base it off of astrology, because at least you will have some equilibrium with nature, which is the actual environment that you live in. I guess they have a study of this, which is ecology, which is the balance of Earth. Because without this balance, you are going up against a natural force in and of itself. So you introducing chemicals into the environment. You're introducing things that's going to affect the weather. You're building, let's say in New Orleans, they did this. They built on top of a flood zone. And then I think, and they were told not to by the indigenous people, but they did it anyway. And this is before Katrina. They built on top of the floodplain. The hurricane came, and basically they didn't have any more houses anymore. Okay? This also affects health. The concept that people are not getting treated because they don't have insurance or can't afford it. To save face, a lot of times they're hoping that people are self-coded, where they're not going into the doctors. They're just dying, at the last minute or dying at home. Okay? And this concept of dying at home or dying due to not be able to get medication is not just on the what are called workhouse level. This exists for everybody, including students, including teachers, including people who are not able to get medicine, especially if you have a supply and demand issue that drives up the price of medicine. Or insurance companies don't want to pay for certain things, and rather that you go without or die or do a step, what they call, I think it's called a step treatment or step action. I think it's called step treatment. Basically, they will look at some data information, and they'll say, well, this drug is the same as this one, so take it. And it may cause other problems, and then you get medicine for that. Not even talk about mental stuff, just the system itself, right? With that equilibrium, that disequilibrium, you're at odds. That means you're going against the human evolution, and you're going against the evolution of the earth. You got two things that you're going against over and over again. You're running up your labor. If you're dealing with labor-intense companies or labor intense stuff. This sounds very medieval, but hey, this is what it is. You run up labor, you wearing out labor. If the physical doesn't go, it's the mental. I've worked these places, and you should think that these little workhouse places are simple. All you gotta do is be a fry cook or clean or put up some stuff or face some stuff on shelves. But the way that they have the work done, if you have any slightly little debilitating ADHD, autism, anything like that, you're not going to get a check because these people are going to get rid of you. They're either going to make it really hard for you to stay there, or they're going to get rid of you. Okay? Because they want things done within a certain amount of time, and they don't care. Bathroom breaks, lunch breaks, if you have medication that you need to take, prescription that you need to take, things like that. Their cycle comes first, not you. These small little things that seem very mundane to some people are not when you're dealing with cycles, artificial cycles. Okay? And the rulers, because ultimately these companies are great companies, they're set in between, they're not real workhouses. Maybe they give you some sort of money. Maybe you have enough to get a mortgage. Maybe you have enough to buy another car. Maybe you have enough money to do regular doctor's appointments, right? But the moment something bad happens, of course, that bill is going to run up and they're only going to pay for so much, okay? Some people are very lucky. They have good enough insurance. They don't have to worry about that. But more and more, this is not the case. When you take that into effect, they basically are creating... they're basically creating a force. It's called an evolutionary force. Now, I don't know if they didn't teach me this. They didn't teach me anything about any of this stuff. About how there's evolutionary forces. Now, there's evolutionary forces, what they call natural selection. That means that a particular force chooses a certain people or certain species to continue on while others are not. They believe it's sort of that linear progression. Now we're seeing evidence of, extinct animals not being extinct, coming back. You know what I mean? So you have a sort of decentralized evolutionary, because think about it. Neanderthals were on the same evolutionary path as humans. Can you see it? Oh, you can't see that though. Hey, same evolutionary path in their model, and then they decided, nope, you're not going to be chosen. And then the humans went right up there, right? So, you're dealing with animal hybrid. There's a big hybrid, and Neanderthals were still hybrids. And then more and more human until you get to the model that you have right now. Okay? But now we're seeing this kind of stuff with the animal kingdom. Animals that were supposed to extinct coming back. Okay? Not going to get into it. But I'm just saying things don't match. So when you're dealing with a false system, a synthetic system of economics that goes against just the plain human body, that goes against the natural cycle of food, water, and shelter, or the atmosphere, the environment, just hands-on, just saying, F it, we're going to do what we want to. You are creating, or they are creating, a large ball of force that will have to override the synthetic evolution. So this concept of this AI may be what they're determining will help them. Because supposedly, if you take or monitor the changes within this cycle, if you're able to get some sort of information or data, you can counter this natural cycle, which I will talk about in the next video.